The storm came fast. Dark clouds rolled over the hills like giant waves. Thunder cracked across the sky and cold rain began to fall in thick sheets. The wind howled through the forest like a living thing. Trees shook and bent, and the night felt alive with danger. Jace pulled his jacket tighter around him as he walked the narrow path through the forest. His flashlight flickered, weak against the rain. He was heading home after repairing a power relay near the ridge. He just wanted to reach his cabin before the storm got worse. But then he heard something, a soft cry, like a whimper. He stopped. The wind roared again, but there it was, another sound. A weak, broken whimper. Not human, not animal, something else. Jace turned off his flashlight and listened. The sound came again behind the trees to his left. Cautiously, he stepped off the path and into the underbrush. Branches scratched his arms. The ground was muddy, but he kept going. Then he saw it, a small creature curled near the roots of a tree. It was shaking, soaked in rain, its fur matted with mud. It looked half dead. Its body was small, no bigger than a child. Thin limbs, a long tail, strange shiny skin under patches of fur. Its eyes glowed faintly, blue and scared. Jace crouched down slowly. "Hey there," he said softly. "What are you?" The creature didn't move, it just stared at him, shivering. There was fear in its eyes, but also pain, and something else. Intelligence. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a thermal blanket. "I'm not here to hurt you," he whispered. "Let me help." The creature gave a soft growl, but it didn't try to run. Jace wrapped the blanket gently around it. It was freezing cold. Its small hands or paws clutched weakly at the edges of the blanket. Jace lifted it carefully. It weighed almost nothing. "All right," he said, "let's get you somewhere warm." As he carried it through the storm, he could feel it breathing against his chest. Slow, weak, but alive. It took almost 30 minutes to reach his cabin. The wind fought him the whole way, but he didn't stop. Something deep inside told him he couldn't leave that creature behind. He pushed open the cabin door and stepped inside. The lights flickered on. Warmth rushed to greet him. He placed the creature gently on a thick blanket near the fireplace and added more logs to the fire. The creature didn't move much. It was still shivering. Jace grabbed some towels and dried its fur as best as he could. Up close, he noticed strange patterns in its skin, metallic lines almost like circuits. Its breathing was shallow, and every so often it let out a weak sound. He left a bowl of water nearby and went to change out of his soaked clothes. When he returned, the creature's eyes were watching him. "I don't know what you are," he said, "but I wasn't going to let you die out there." The creature blinked once. Then it closed its eyes again. Hours passed. The storm raged on outside. Jace fell asleep on the floor near the fire, his head resting on his arm. The last thing he saw was the soft glow of the fire reflecting in the creature's eyes. But while he slept, something changed. The creature's body began to shift. Slowly, silently. Its limbs stretched. The fur melted away. The strange metallic lines on its skin shimmered and pulled back like ink in water. Fingers formed. A slender neck. A humanoid shape. When Jace opened his eyes again, just before dawn, he didn't see the small creature anymore. He saw a girl. A beautiful alien girl, lying quietly under his blanket. Her skin shimmered like starlight. Her hair was silver and long, still wet from the storm. She looked young, maybe his age, but not human. Her eyes opened slowly, and they glowed the same soft blue. She looked at Jace. He froze. She whispered, her voice shaky but clear. "You didn't leave me." Jace couldn't breathe. His heart raced. Everything inside him screamed that this was impossible. But there she was. The helpless creature he saved in the forest was now a girl. A very alien girl, and she was looking right at him. Jace stared at the girl lying near his fireplace. His heart pounded like a drum in his chest. This wasn't a dream. The small, helpless creature he had carried through the storm was gone. In her place lay a young alien girl with glowing blue eyes, pale skin that shimmered like moonlight, and long silver hair spread across the blanket like soft threads of starlight. She didn't look dangerous. She looked fragile, calm, almost peaceful. She blinked again, slowly, her eyes locked with his, curious and unsure. Jace took a step back. The girl sat up slowly, holding the blanket close to her chest. Her breathing was shaky. Her arms, though thin, looked more human than alien now. But her skin, it still had those faint glowing patterns running down her arms, like soft light pulsing under her flesh. "I'm not going to hurt you," Jace said, raising both hands slowly. The girl tilted her head, watching him with wide eyes. Then, to his surprise, she whispered in perfect English, though her voice was soft and strange. "You helped me," she said. Jace nodded slowly. "You were dying." Her lips trembled. Why didn't you leave me? Jace swallowed hard. He had 100 questions, 1,000 thoughts. But somehow his answer came out simple. Because you look scared. She looked down at the floor. Her hand trembled slightly as she gripped the blanket tighter. Everyone else ran before. Jace stepped closer, careful not to make sudden movements. What's your name? The girl hesitated. Her mouth opened slightly, as if the answer hurt. Leora, she finally said, voice barely a whisper. My name is Leora. Leora, Jace repeated softly. I'm Jace. She looked at him again. You're human? Yeah, and you're not. She nodded once. Slowly. I didn't want you to see me like that. The small form. It's how I hide. That was hiding? Yes, she said quietly. My people can shift. We take on different forms when we are scared or hunted. Jace sat down across from her, near the fire. The flames crackled gently between them. Outside, the storm had finally started to fade. Just a soft drizzle now. Were you running from someone? He asked. Her eyes narrowed. Not in anger, but in pain. Yes. Who? She looked at the fire. The flames reflected in her eyes. People who want me gone. Jace didn't press her. Not yet. He could see she was holding back more than she was saying. Instead, he said, You're safe here. Her head turned sharply. No one is safe with me. Why? She didn't answer. Instead, she shifted slightly, pulling her legs under the blanket. Her knees drew close to her chest, like a child curling into herself. It was the same position the creature had been in when he found her. Jace stood up and walked to the kitchen. He poured warm tea into a cup and returned. He held it out to her. She stared at it. Then carefully, slowly, she reached out with both hands and accepted it. Her fingers were long, almost delicate, but there was strength in them. She brought the cup to her lips and drank. Her body trembled slightly with the warmth. Thank you, she whispered. He nodded. Silence hung between them for a long moment. Then she said something unexpected. You're not like the others. Others. Humans, she said softly. The ones I've seen before. They scream, or they attack, or they sell what they don't understand. I'm not like them, Jace said, meaning every word. I know, she replied. You saw me weak, small, and you still picked me up. You didn't know what I was, and you helped anyway. He looked at her. Would you have done the same for me? She blinked. Then slowly she nodded. Yes, she whispered. If I still believed in kindness. A chill ran down Jace's spine. Not from fear, but from the weight of her words. She had been through something terrible. That much was clear. Jace reached for the old coat he'd wrapped her in the night before. He placed it over her shoulders. You don't have to run anymore, he said. She looked up, eyes glistening slightly. You don't understand, she said, voice breaking. They're still out there, and now they'll come for you too. Let them try, Jace said. She shook her head. You'll die, not without a fight. Leora stared at him, studying him like no one had ever done before. Her lips parted slightly, then closed again, like she was holding back something important. I'm dangerous, she said at last. Jace gave a tired smile. So is the weather, but I still walk through it. She blinked in surprise. Then for the first time she smiled. It was small, gentle, and a little sad, but real. That night Jace gave her the bed and took the couch. Leora curled up under the blankets, staring at the ceiling, feeling warmth she hadn't felt in years. And in the quiet darkness, she whispered to herself, he saw me and didn't run. The rain had stopped, but Jace didn't sleep. He lay on the couch, eyes open, staring at the wooden ceiling of his cabin. The fire had gone low. Only red embers remained, glowing softly in the dark. Somewhere in the room he could hear Leora breathing, steady and light. She had fallen asleep wrapped in his old blanket. Peaceful now, but he knew it wouldn't last. Who was she really? Where did she come from? And who was hunting her? He needed answers, but more than that he wanted to make sure she was safe. Morning came slowly. A soft mist curled around the trees outside. The cabin smelled of pine, smoke, and something faintly sweet. Alien, but pleasant. Jace stepped into the small kitchen and made breakfast. Toast, eggs, tea. He wasn't sure what Leora could eat, so he kept things simple. She woke just as he set the plates down. Her hair was a bit messy, silver strands sticking in different directions, but her eyes were clear, alert. Good morning, Jace said. She blinked at the food. You cooked for me? I didn't think you'd like cold leftovers. She sat at the table slowly, wrapping the blanket tight around herself. Her skin still glowed faintly, like starlight underwater. Jace watched her pick up a piece of toast and sniff it. You can eat it, he said. It's safe. She took a bite slowly, then another. Her expression stayed blank at first. Then her eyes widened. It's good, she whispered, surprised. Jace chuckled. Glad to hear it. They ate in silence for a while. Then he finally asked, Leora, what really happened to you? She froze. Her hands heightened around the teeth. The sky above the forest was too quiet. The birds had stopped singing. The wind had gone still. Even the trees didn't sway. Jay stood outside his cabin, staring toward the hills. A feeling had crawled into his chest, tight and cold. He didn't know why, but something felt wrong. Inside the cabin, Leora stood by the window, her glowing blue eyes wide. They're close, she whispered. Jace turned sharply. You feel them? She nodded. 3 of them. No, 4. Moving fast, too fast for the woods. Jace grabbed the old blaster from the wall. It was half rusted but still worked. How long do we have? Leora looked out into the trees. Minutes, maybe less. Jace's jaw tightened. Then we fight. Leora turned to him. No, you run. I'll lead them away. He stepped forward, firm. I didn't carry you through that storm just to lose you now. A moment passed between them. No words, just shared breath, shared fear, and then shared strength. Leora walked to the center of the room and raised her hands. A soft pulse of light formed around her finger. Her body shimmered faintly, like heat rising off stone. The markings on her skin glowed brighter. I can mask us, she said, only for a few seconds. Jace nodded. I'll use those seconds well. They moved quickly. Jace kicked open a loose panel in the floor, revealing a small space under the cabin. He'd used it once to hide supplies during a border raid. Now it would hide them. Leora climbed down first. Her breathing was tight, her hands shaking. Jace followed and sealed the panel above them, just as the glow around her faded. Silence. Darkness. They could hear nothing but the faint thump of their hearts. Then, boom, the door above shattered. Heavy boots stomped in. Metal hit wood. Voices cold, sharp, emotionless. They were here, said one. Still are, said another. I can smell the shift residue. Leora clutched Jace's arm tightly. A moment later, the cabin floor creaked. Heavy steps crossed the room. Then, thud, thud, thud. Someone stomped above their heads. Jace held his breath. The fire crackled gently. Rain had started again, light and calm. A breeze came through the shattered cabin door, but the warmth from the fire kept the cold away. Leora lay on the couch, breathing softly. Her skin no longer glowed, and the strange markings on her arms had dimmed. She looked tired and very fragile. Jace sat nearby, staring at the alien weapons the hunters had left behind. Black metal, sharp edges, cold to the touch, too advanced for any Earth military. He had fought before, on distant moons, in border wars, but nothing like this. This was personal. The mountain caves were cold, dark, and far from safe. But they were hidden, and right now, that was enough. Jace guided Leora through narrow stone paths, their footsteps echoing off the damp walls. She was still weak, her skin no longer glowed like before. The crystal inside her chest was dim, as if it too was tired. They had hiked for 2 days, no ships above, no hunters behind, only silence. But even in that silence, Jace knew it wasn't over. He set up a small camp deep inside a hollow chamber. He laid out blankets, set up a battery lantern, and shared the last of their food. Leora sat across from him, staring at the soft glow of the light. You should rest, he said. I've rested enough, she replied. Her voice sounded different now, not weak but heavy, like she was carrying something too big to hold much longer. Jace watched her closely. What is it? She didn't answer. Instead, she stood and walked to the cave's edge, where light from the setting sun peeked through cracks in the rocks. This can't go on, she finally said. What do you mean? She turned around. Her silver hair shimmered in the fading light. I can't keep running, and I can't keep dragging you with me. Jay stood up too. You're not dragging me. I chose this. She shook her head. You don't understand. The cave's mouth lit up with red lights. Drones hovered like metal insects. Scanning the area, Crimson Order soldiers in black armor marched forward with silence and purpose. Their helmets glowed with red visors. They carried weapons that buzzed with energy, deadly and cold. Inside the cave, Jace and Leora stood side by side. She wasn't hiding anymore. She wasn't afraid. Leora's skin glowed like moonlight on water. Her silver hair flowed behind her. The strange markings on her arms pulsed like living light, and the crystal in her chest, now fully awakened, shone through her thin robes like a tiny sun. "I've never seen you like this," Jace whispered, staring at her. She turned her head, smiled softly. "Neither have I." They heard the voice before they saw the one leading the soldiers. "You have nowhere left to run," the voice echoed. A tall figure stepped forward, his armor darker than night, his face hidden behind a cruel mask. "Leora Velsari," he said, "relinquish the crystal. Come with us, and your death will be quick." Jace raised his blaster. "She's not going anywhere." The masked commander turned his gaze to Jace. "And you, human, are an insect. Irrelevant." Leora stepped forward. "He saved me. He stood with me when no one else did. He is not irrelevant. He is mine." The air trembled. The crystal inside her chest began to pulse faster. "I will not give you the crystal," Leora said, "and I will not run anymore." The soldiers raised their weapons. Jace stepped in front of her. "Then let's end this." But before they could attack, everything stopped. A shockwave burst out from Leora's body. Silent, blinding. The drones crashed to the ground, dead. The soldiers staggered back, holding their heads. The commander growled, "What is this?" Leora stepped forward, her feet not touching the ground anymore. "The crystal," she said calmly, "has chosen." Her voice echoed like a song, beautiful, terrible, and eternal. She lifted her arms. The light inside her became a storm. The cave shook. Stone cracked. Energy poured out of her like a flood. But it didn't burn Jay. It moved around him, gentle and warm. Only the soldiers screamed. Their weapons turned to dust in their hands. Their armor melted into ash. One by one they fell, not dead, but unconscious, surrounded by glowing roots that had pushed through the cave floor. The commander tried to raise his arm. "This is impossible." Leora floated toward him. "The time for fear is over," she said. "Go back. Tell the order the last of House Velsari lives, and she is no longer running." With a final burst of light, the crystal surged once more, and the commander vanished in a wave of energy, transported far away. The cave grew silent. The wind returned. The roots sank back into the stone, and Leora fell. Jace caught her before she hit the ground. "Leora, Leora." Her eyes opened slowly. Her glow faded. "I'm all right," she whispered. "I just gave everything." He held her tightly. "You didn't have to do that alone." She smiled faintly. "I wasn't alone." Jace carried her out of the cave. The sky above was clear now. Stars twinkled. The moonlight touched her skin softly. Her breathing steadied as they walked together step by step down the mountain path. At the base of the ridge, they built a small camp, not to hide, but to rest, to breathe, to begin again. Leora sat beside the fire, wrapped in a soft blanket. Jace sat across from her, sharpening an old knife. They were quiet, until she spoke. "I made a choice, Jace." He looked up. "I could have returned to my world, reclaimed my throne, but I chose to stay." He nodded slowly. "I know." She reached out, touched his hand. "Because wherever you are, that's where I feel free." His fingers closed around hers. "You're not a princess here," he said. "You're not hunted. You're not feared. What am I then?" He smiled. "You're home." She leaned closer, resting her head on his shoulder. The stars above watched in silence. Two souls who had nothing, now had each other, and in the quiet of the forest, far from war and fear, a new story began, of a girl who stopped hiding, and a man who taught her what it meant to live.